Okay, we're talking about inositol hexaphosphate, IP6 so-called. We'll just call it IP6, which has a synonym, phytic acid. Many of you have heard of phytic acid as being a bad guy when it comes to grains, seeds, vegetables in general. I had a couple questions yesterday via Facebook about our conversation on phytates and phytic acid yesterday. We talked about how these molecules have an ability, these phytic acid molecules have an ability to tie up minerals like iron and zinc and calcium. Christopher wrote me on Facebook. He wants to know the significance of this binding activity. He said, how important really is it? Does it really deplete your body of zinc and calcium and iron just because you're tying it up when you eat your grains? Well, I don't know the answer to that question. I know there's a lot of literature to suggest that phytic acid can create complexes with various minerals, but there are probiotic bacteria that live in the gut. As if these bacteria didn't have enough very important roles to play in the health of the body. Here's another important role for microbes and bacteria. They have an ability to free minerals from phytates. They make a special enzyme called phytase. In fact, farmers will use phytase that's derived from microbes, from bacteria in the animal feed. They're ruminants and cattle especially, and various farm animals obviously eat lots of vegetation. They get lots of phytic acid, and the thought is that they may be suffering from mineral imbalances because of all the phytates. So farmers will actually put phytase, which is a bacteria-derived enzyme, in their animal feed to keep the phytic acid from robbing animals of calcium and zinc and other mineral nutrients. This is just another reason why you want to make sure that you're using your biolumin nightly essence, that you're eating fermented food, and that you're supporting digestive health. It really comes down to supporting the health of the intestine and supporting the health of the digestive system in general for so many health reasons, not the least of which is the ability of these probiotic bacteria to make phytase, to destroy phytic acid, to prevent minerals from being lost, minerals from not being absorbed. The bottom line is whether phytic acid has any negative health significance or negative nutritional significance, whether we're talking in a laboratory or whether we're talking in the body, is really a guess. We don't really know for sure, although, as I say, in a laboratory it's clear that phytic acid can tie up minerals, but whether that occurs in the body or not is just going to be something you have to guess for yourself. You have to experiment for yourself. Second question I got on Facebook involves the role of phytic acid, phytates, when it comes to preventing cancer. Remember, phytic acid is not all villain. As we said yesterday, there's a good side to phytic acid. If you've ever heard of the nutritional supplement IP6, that's phytic acid. In addition to the fact that phytates and phytic acid will lock up minerals, making them unavailable, they may actually have some health benefits. Phytic acid, phytates, IP6. As it turns out, there's lots of anti-cancer research going on, using IP6 as a chemotherapeutic type substance, anti-cancer type substance. It's been known to slow down the growth of cancer cells. IP6 or phytic acid has been shown to enhance the body's ability to fight cancer by upregulating the production of white blood cells, specifically a type of cell called an NK, or a natural killer cell, which is a well-known anti-cancer cell. How cool is it that the body makes these anti-cancer cells? Literally, the body makes its own anti-cancer weaponry. We're not supposed to really get cancer. Certainly not 1 million people every year aren't supposed to be getting cancer. We make our own anti-cancer medicine, and it turns out that phytates, phytic acid, or IP6, actually work to increase the activity of these NK cells, these anti-cancer cells. Phytic acid actually works at the genetic level too. It can actually slow down the genetics of cancer cells, slowing down their growth. Phytic acid has anti-inflammatory benefits, phytic acid has antioxidant benefits, and phytic acid may actually slow down cancer metastases too. So you get lots of benefits from this supposedly negative substance. Obviously it's not all negative. Phytic acid, phytates, IP6, they all have benefits. The reason I think this is important to understand when it comes to IP6 is because phytates and phytic acid have developed such a bad reputation as anti-nutrition, as anti-nutrients via these mineral trapping effects, and we really don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So if you're avoiding grains, you're avoiding seeds, you're avoiding phytic acid in vegetables, you may want to think twice about that. And you may want to make sure that you're using the biolumin nightly essence and you're supporting digestive health and supporting the health of probiotics and microbes in the bacteria to help assist the body and freeing up minerals from phytic acid complexes. And by the way, IP6 benefits extend to other health challenges, other non-cancer health challenges. An article in the Journal of Toxicology reports that IP6 may provide help for Parkinson's patients. This is no surprise because mineral imbalances may affect neurological health, accumulation of calcium, or even the accumulation of iron, which is a well-known pro-oxidant. As we said, phytic acid or IP6 have antioxidant benefits, so it makes sense that you would get neurological benefits, improvement in the prognosis of neurological diseases like Parkinson's disease or even autoimmune diseases for that matter, myasthenia gravis or multiple sclerosis. You may want to see if IP6 provides you benefits there. IP6 has also been shown to help improve the symptoms of mental health issues, bipolar disorder, depression, osteoporosis. Maybe if you're dealing with osteoporosis, you may benefit by using IP6 supplements, heart disease, kidney stones. These are all ways that you can benefit by using IP6. You might want to consider using an IP6 supplement if you're thinking about, well, I might just as well get my IP6 or my phytic acid from vegetables or from grains or from seeds. You may want to think twice about that. Yes, it's true, you'll get IP6 in vegetables and grains, etc., seeds, but IP6 tends to be tied up in these foods, and before it can be absorbed, it has to be freed somehow. As I say, you're making, most of us, if we're healthy anyway, if our digestive system is healthy, we're making enzymes in the intestine that can help free up the IP6 and free the minerals as well. But if you just want to make absolutely sure, IP6 supplements are readily available. They're easily absorbed. They're cheap, relatively cheap anyway, and they're also completely non-toxic, so you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about side effects or toxicity. Okay, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We're coming back with your phone calls. 855-660-4261 is our number. We'll be back right after this. Okay, welcome back to The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. 855-660-4261 is our number. We're going to be talking to Dr. Andrew Harley in the bottom of the hour. Dr. Harley is a PhD from Denver, specializes in soils, and he's the owner of the Essential Soil Company. Tagline, bringing soils to life. He's going to talk about soil depletion and the health challenges that are associated with mineral deficiencies and problematic vegetables as well that are all linked to depleted soils. The soil is a living entity. The earth is coated with this living entity called soil that is really responsible for all of life. Once we start tweaking our soils, we're all in big trouble, and Dr. Harley is going to elucidate and enlighten us on that subject. That'll be coming up in the bottom of the hour. We'll take your phone calls this segment. 855-660-4261 is our number. Let's go to RB in Houston, Texas. What's going on, RB? How you doing?
Ben?
Hey, good morning. What's going on? How you doing, bro? RB, going once, going twice.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. What's up, man? Speak to me.
Hey, I purchased youngevity products, and I've noticed that in EFA Plus and Glucogel, there's the gelatin.
Yes.
Would you happen to know, where the gelatin comes from?
Cows. Most gelatin comes from. Cows. Moo. Gelatin is collagen. Collagen is an animal protein, and interesting things happen when you eat collagen. When you eat, especially the amino acids that make collagen, the amino acids and the gelatin in general has a nice coating and soothing effect, a rebuilding effect on all the connective tissue in the body. Collagen is connective tissue. Gelatin is connective tissue. And by eating connective tissue, you can support your connective tissue. In other words, we connective tissue, the connective tissue components can help our body make our own connective tissue, given that 50% or so of the body is made up of this connective tissue, collagen connective tissue, mostly. By eating gelatin, eating all gelatin really, you can help support the growth of your connective tissue. That means a stronger digestive system. That means stronger joints. That means just a stronger, healthier body in general. And gelatin is one of those inexpensive nutritional components or nutritional supplements that you can use to get multiple benefits. Now, the glucogel caps have gelatin, but that's not really the main feature of the glucogel caps. It's the glucosamine, and again, like gelatin, glucosamine also is very important for helping build connective tissue. All connective tissue, even though the glucogel caps are marketed as being an anti-arthritic or a joint type of supplement, keep in mind, because 50% of the body is connective tissue, you're going to get benefits for the entire connective tissue spectrum in the body, and that's especially true about the digestive system. But of course, if you're a vegan or vegetarian, then you're going to have a problem there. Does that help you?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, good deal. Thank you so much, Arby, and God bless. Have a beautiful day. Okay, Ron in Texas, what's going on? Welcome to the bright side.
And I was talking to you yesterday at the end of the show, and I got cut off. But
okay, I'm sorry.
No problem. It was our airline captain decided to start making an announcement over the top of us when I was talking to you. But anyway,
I remember that. What was your question? Yeah.
It was about my wife. You know, she has. I told you she has Graves' disease. Well, she
yes.
She also suffers with vitiligo, which is
same.
On that same.
Vitiligo is great. Yeah, it's the same deal, Ron. Vitiligo is Graves' disease of the skin, of the pigment-making cells in the skin, or if you like. If you like Graves' disease, is vitiligo with a thyroid. It's the same thing, and this is so important. And I'm not beating you up here or ripping on you, Ron, but I just want you to know, and everybody out there, know, the body breaks down generically. It doesn't matter if it's happening in the skin or the pigment-making cells or the thyroid or the pancreas or the muscle cells or the nerve cells. Wherever, an autoimmune disease means a freaked-out immune system. A freaked-out immune system means something is getting into the body chronically that is hyping up the defenses. Well, as I was teasing you yesterday a little bit, I said, where do you think stuff comes into the body? It's sprinkled from the sky, pixie dust from angels, autoimmune system angels? No. Little elves that shoot arrows at you? No. And you know why I pick on those, I say those two things? Because that's exactly what doctors used to tell people, that it was evil humors that caused diseases, or it was little elves that shot arrows at you. It's literally what medieval doctors would say. Today they're called viruses. They don't say little elves because they're sophisticated. They say, oh, it's germs or it's viruses. Listen, autoimmune issues mean a hyped-up defense system. A hyped-up defense system means something is offending the body regularly and chronically. If something is getting into the body or offending the body regularly and chronically, it means it's either coming in through the skin, and that would be IV or through a burn of some kind. It's being breathed in, or for the most part, it's being eaten, because 80% of the immune system is located in the digestive system. Now, I could tell you the mechanism, and it's very fascinating. What happens is I don't want to get into too much details, but once that digestive system starts to break down, things leak into the blood through the digestive system. They initiate a blood-borne immune reaction, and that blood-borne immune reaction can cross-react with the thyroid, it can cross-react with skin cells, it can cross-react with pigment cells, or anything else in the body. So what you got to do is you got to stabilize the digestive system, and you got to improve processing of food. Number one, digestive enzymes are almost miraculous when it comes to improving circulatory issues, and autoimmune disease is at least partially circulation-based. So using the digestive enzymes can be helpful. It can help you process food, so you completely break down proteins instead of leaving fragments in the intestine. So using the ultimate enzymes with apple cider vinegar, that's one strategy. Using the biolumin nightly essence is another. Fasting is one of the best ways to slow down the symptoms of all immune health issues, and there's several important reasons for that. One involves a hormone called leptin, Leptin. Also, sugar and insulin can be involved in accelerating immune and inflammatory reactions. And after we eat any food, really, we get a spike in immune activity and a spike in inflammatory activity. So just fasting is another important strategy. Linking her symptoms to specific foods is also important. So she notices she gets flare-ups after she eats grains. That's not atypical.
She's figured out that she is gluten intolerant, because when she so-called cheats, she's wrecked for a couple of days.
There you go, bro.
Once she gets off of gluten, stops eating bread.
Well, chances are, if she's got a problem with gluten, she's going to have a problem with other things. She may have a problem with seeds, like we were talking about. Sometimes phytates or phytic acid, as we've been saying, by their effect on on locking up minerals, they can be a problem. There's components in vegetables called lectins, Lectins. That can be a problem. It's hard. You don't want to make kind of like a preemptive blanket statement about, oh, I'm off of gluten, or it's gluten intolerance, because it could be another factor that's similar to gluten, but you're eating your gluten-free brownies and you're still contacting this other protein. So you have to see how a food reacts with your wife, or your wife has to see how a food reacts with her body specifically. Okay. Eat a food, see how she feels, and then focus on digestive system health. Last but not least, vitamin C and zinc are two very important, and selenium are three very important nutrients for the immune system. About 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. That's the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Ultimate Selenium, 200 to 400 micrograms a day, and then 50 milligrams of zinc picolinate is probably a good idea. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I was going to say that I've heard Dr. Glidden. I've listened to his show several times, and he actually mentioned on one of his shows that selenium actually helps convert I think the T3 to T4 in her. She's taken Synthroid for the rest of her life.
Well, her problem is not converting T3 to T4, but that having been said, Dr. Glidden, as usual, is absolutely correct. It is involved. But her problem is the body attacking the thyroid. She doesn't necessarily have an issue of conversion, although she might, but we got to take care of the attack. That's really what you want to focus on. Yes, Dr. Glidden is absolutely right. It is involved in the conversion, but selenium is also involved in boosting the immune system. Okay, got to take a break, Ron. Thanks for your call, bro. Hope I helped you out. If I left you on hold, I apologize for that, but call back tomorrow, and we'll get you first up. We're going to talk to Dr. Andrew Harley when we come back from our break about soil depletion and its impact on our health crisis in America. Hang tight. We'll be back right after this on The Bright Side. And speaking of spreading the word about nutrition and nutritional supplements, I'm very proud to have my next guest on the program. Dr. Andrew Harley is a PhD geochemist, specializes in soil depletion. You know, if you listen to The Bright Side, if you've been listening to The Bright Side, that's a subject that's near and dear to my heart. I consider it to be of epic importance when it comes to health, and a subject that's of epic importance when it comes to our poor health. That is depletion of the soils, mineral depletion of the soils. Once minerals are depleted of soils, of course, then plants won't be able to make what they need to make. They won't make as many proteins. They won't. The animals that eat the plants won't be as healthy, and then we that eat the animals won't be as healthy as well. But it all starts off with that living layer on the surface of the earth, the so-called topsoil. So please welcome to The Bright Side, Dr. Andrew Harley. What's up, Dr. Harley? Can I call you Andrew, or should I call you Dr. Harley?
You most certainly can, Ben. It's great to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Give us just a quick down low on your background as a geochemist, and then I want to get into how you discovered the so-called secrets of the soil, as the book, as the title of the book. I love that book.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I mean, it feeds beautifully into into my history. My background is undergraduate degree in geology. Spent 10 years working in the environmental field. In fact, in dealing with the opposite of what we're going to talk about today, which is an excess of metals and minerals in soils and at contaminated sites. So basically traveled around the world looking at contaminated sites, mining sites, industrial sites, and getting a feel for how minerals operate under those conditions. Went back and did a PhD in soil mineralogy and geochemistry, which was the flip side of that, working out what role do minerals play at much lower concentrations for plant uptake and nutrient uptake. You mentioned Secrets of the Soil. That was actually the book. That was actually the book that made me want to go back and study that particular field of remineralization.
Did you guys, excuse me for interrupting, when you were studying in school, did they tell you about problems with the soil, about soil depletion of minerals, et cetera? Did they talk about that at all?
Well, Ben, as you can tell, I'm not from around here, and growing up in Australia, our soils are highly depleted, highly weathered. They've been weathered for 40 million years. A lot of these soils. So what had happened that just through the natural process of weathering and leaching, the minerals just get leached out. It's just a natural reaction of how the interaction between water and rocks. Which firstly form the soil, which we then grow the plants from, but then over time it depletes. And Australia is actually a very fascinating place to be studying mineral nutrition because it's very, very low, and the native plants in Australia have adapted strategies for actually living in these very low soil mineral environments. It was front and foresight in the work I was doing.
Do Australian plants trap minerals more effectively because they're in soil depleted? They're growing in soil depleted soils?
Yeah, so just talking about the native plants for a moment, the answer is yes. There is a group of plants called Proteaceae, which is a Banksia. You may or may not have seen them. They have a very fascinating root structure. Combined with the fungal community that helps them cycle very low phosphorus. So you'll find them so they're very indicative of low phosphorus environments. The other thing that in Australia the plants are they're evergreen, so they're constantly just dropping the leaves to get to get that cycling nutrient cycling going on in the plant in the soils. And obviously fire is a very important item in Australia or process in Australia, and the plants have developed very quickly how to get in there and take advantage of the nutrients that are suddenly released in a fire situation. So you get that very rapid succession, and it's really quite fascinating in Australia. You go within 3 or 4 weeks after a major fire has gone through, the place is already green again.
Wow!
Because
so a good fire is helpful. In other words.
Well, it is, but what it's done is it's released those nutrients that the plants can then take it, the native community can take advantage of.
That's great. So fires, wildfires that we hear about every summer, and the natural course of fire, the development of fires is actually a good thing for the ecosystem, right?
Yeah, so a lot of the natural fire systems are a much lower intensity, move through, clean out the understory, the underbrush, release the nutrients, get new growth going. So yes, that's important. The downside is that because we've spent, and this is true in Australia, not just here in the US as well, is that we've gone through fire mitigation or fire suppression, so that what happens is we get a fuel source that is built up. So when we tend to get a fire, it becomes catastrophic, and then obviously you throw the changing climate conditions on top of that as well. Where we are seeing the increased incidence of more catastrophic fires in our system.
What are some of the most significant mineral deficiencies associated with depletion?
In terms of
minerals.
So on an agricultural side of things, I would say copper is probably the most. Copper's a very interesting nutrient, a very interesting mineral in that it tends to be removed more quickly than just about other minerals, and that's true just through the natural weathering cycle I was talking about earlier, and it's true in plant uptake as well. So I think copper is probably one of the most deficient ones, and if you have a look at a lot of the diseases around
vascular diseases
side of things, copper copper deficiency in our soils is paramount. Second to that, I'd say manganese, then followed by probably zinc. Are probably the three main ones.
What about sulfur
that we're looking at?
What about sulfur deficiency?
You know what? Interesting question, Ben. I'll be honest. I don't know. I haven't really looked at sulfur deficiency. Most of the ones I've been looking at have been more the metal minerals. But hang on, I'm just pulling up some information here. Yes, so actually,
I suspected sulfur. Yeah.
No, sulfur. In fact, I'm looking at some information on some wheat growing in the Great Plains, and yes, sulfur deficiency is certainly prevalent and is up there with the likes of something like selenium, for example.
Okay, now we're going to take a break here in a second. I want to talk about what we can do. I also want to talk about some of the differences between minerals and minerals. You hear about colloidal minerals, and you hear about soil minerals, and you hear about metallic minerals and toxic minerals. And I want to address that as well. And then I want to talk to you about how you got involved with longevity. Real quick though, we got about 30 seconds here. What's the Ascension Soil Company? Can you do that in 30 seconds, or should we wait for our break?
Yeah, basically, it is dedicated to bringing soils to life. Taking degraded soils, whether they be contaminated with too much or deficient in not enough, and finding that balance so that we can grow healthy plants for whatever the purpose, whether it's agriculture, reclamation, remediation,
all right,
whatever.
We got to take a break, Andrew. Okay, welcome back to The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're talking to Dr. Andrew Harley, PhD. Doc, before we went to break, I made you rush through that. I apologize. Tell real quickly, the Ascension Soil Company, that's your company that's dedicated to bringing soils to life, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, good. And
both ends. Where I deal on the deficiency side, but I also deal with on the excess side. And so, cleaning up contaminated sites, mining sites, things like that. So, as well as the agricultural side.
As a consultant, you're talking about, or helping spread the word?
As a consultant, yes.
I see. Okay, good. Okay, so you hear this all the time if you're doing longevity, and we'll talk about your involvement with longevity here in a minute, but we hear this all the time about, oh, there's toxic minerals, and my doctor told me there's aluminum, and, and I talk about this all the time in the program. I get sick of even talking about it, to tell you the truth.
Sure.
The difference between minerals and how not all minerals are the same. There's metallic minerals, and there's colloidal minerals, and there's soil. There's microbial and biological minerals of sorts, I guess you could say. Real quickly, like, from a PhD point of view, what is the distinction between so-called metallic and toxic minerals and colloidal minerals that have been manipulated by plants and by the soil?
Yeah, and actually, Ben, you've just hit it. You've hit it exactly on the head. So I'll take it even one step back. From a geological standpoint, so a rock is composed of particular minerals. So quartz, for example, is a mineral. Most people would have, everyone would have heard of quartz. And then there's as there are different elements that are added into those into the crystalline structure, we get different minerals. So minerals from a geological sense are those, when you pick up a rock, pick up a granite, or look at a beautiful granite countertop, you'll see the what are called geological minerals. When those get released, and they can get released in several pathways. As I said, as I was describing, just the 40 million year weathering in Australia, just the interaction of water with these rocks over time releases the particular elements. Now, where those elements go and how they are absorbed or taken up depends on their components. When they stay, so for example, if they just continue to stay in a dissolved form, so stay within water, then depending on their concentration, they can actually build up and become metallic in a sense. However, when they're taken up by plants, then they become part of the plant structure, and minerals are very important in driving biochemical processes.
So they're biological. They become biological in essence.
That's correct. So this is where you're turning geology basically into biology.
Nice.
And that's essentially the process. Now, interestingly enough, there was a fascinating piece of work that was done in Wisconsin, I believe, where they were dealing with infertility, and that they were by adding manganese onto the pasture, the plant was taking up the manganese, and the infertility in the cows was taken care of. Being the smart scientists that we are, this is we can miss putting it out. We can avoid a step. We don't have to stick it in the pasture. We'll just give it straight to the cow, because it was in a metallic form or a salt form, i.e., with something else. It didn't have the same effect.
Okay.
There is a process where these minerals and these metals are processed by the plant, and that is what we as animals are able to take to maximize the best component.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the last thing I was just going to say, because you made reference to a colloidal mineral. So generally, once it gets into a plant form, it becomes effectively a colloid. And all a colloid is a very, very small particle that is actually charged. But it's a particle that is part of the organic component.
So basically speaking, a plant has an ability to turn a geological or a rock, basically, a geological mineral, into a biologically active entity of sorts that the body can use. Does that say succinctly enough?
Absolutely, and that process is actually fascinating, because within the root zone itself, it releases an acid, it releases an organic acid, which increases the ability to break down the rocks. Which is absolutely fascinating. And then there's a whole bunch of fungal communities that help in that process as well. So they actually speed it up through the release of an organic acid and targeting the particular mineral, part of the geological mineral, the rock mineral, to obtain the nutrient that they need.
So you got to really make that distinction. That's an important distinction between a geological mineral and a biological mineral when you're assessing how problematic or non-problematic a nutritional supplement is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're two very different forms. So for example, you can get calcium by grinding up a shell, if you'd like, because that's essentially what it is. But your body's not going to absorb it. But if you then add that shell or a limestone into a soil, the plant does what it does to through the roots to take it up into the plant. Metabolizes and processes it and then you eat the plant. That calcium is a much different form, and a form that we can actually use as humans.
Is that true? Is that true about ordinarily, like the super toxic minerals you hear about, things like lead and mercury? Does the same process occur? Can you make a non-toxic mercury? Can a plant make a colloidal mercury, if you will, a nutritional version of mercury?
No. Yes is a short answer. And in fact, there's a whole discipline called phytoremediation, which is actually using plants to clean up highly contaminated metal contaminated sites, because they're able to basically take that. There are specific plants that target specific elements such as lead or mercury or zinc, and you take that up. And it does two things. Firstly, it neutralizes is the wrong word, but it minimizes the effect, and then you can actually harvest it and actually recollect the metals for later process.
How interesting! So you can have a phytomercury. You can have a phytomercury in essence. That's non-toxic.
Yes, you can. Mercury is an interesting one in that it has forms that change very rapidly. But yes, you can effectively change the conditions that remove it from being a toxic to a non-toxic. Another one is chrome. Chrome is a very good one. I'm sure
I'm sorry. What are you saying? What were you saying? Crime?
Chrome. The element
chrome.
chrome.
Okay. Like chromium.
So, chromium. There you go. Thank you very much. Because you can have hexavalent chrome or chrome 6. Which is the Aaron Brockovich movie, but you're just by subtle manipulations of the chemistry, you can move it to a less toxic form called chrome 3, basically. So understanding those manipulations and that chemistry can help in the detoxification process.
Now, you've been doing youngevity now at least 3 or 4 years, I think. I met you at a meeting, 4 years ago, it seems like. What got you involved with youngevity? What turned you on to Dr. Wallach's message?
Well, actually, when I was doing my PhD back in Australia, the early 2000s, I came across the work of both Dr. Wallach and his soil science lecturer at the University of Missouri. And from there, so it was really that academic pursuit that I was looking at the aspects of remineralization and those components, that I came across the work of Dr. Wallach. So this is circa 2000, early 2000s, and then in 2002, youngevity actually opened up in Australia, and I was there, and I was one of the first distributors in Australia. I actually helped open up. In fact, we had 800 people in a room that Dr. Wallach spoke at in Perth in 2002. So,
and you live in Denver. You live in Denver now, right?
So I live in Denver now. But at the time we were in Australia. So I was actually involved then. And then been taking the product since then, and then since moving to Denver, and obviously being exposed to meeting you and the other big players within youngevity here in Colorado, it just reignited my passion for the company.
All right, so we got about a minute, Dr. Harley. Tell us what mineral depletion, obviously a big problem. What can the average person do to make sure that they're getting enough of these nutrients? So it's not going to come from eating the vegetables, I assume, given depletion.
You've got to
issues.
supplement, and this was my epiphany, Ben. That try as we may, we just can't manipulate the soil systems at a large enough scale, at a consistent scale that's going to at a cost-effective scale that we can do. We need to be supplementing. And as far as I'm concerned, the youngevity products, they have the colloidal minerals, they have that wide spectrum of minerals that we need. I believe that is the best product to be using.
Awesome, Dr. Harley. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a website real quick you can give out?
www.ascensionsoil.com.
AscensionSoils.com. Thank you, Doc. We'll see you soon, I hope, okay? God
Great.
bless. Have a beautiful
Thanks,
day,
man.
Andrew. Take care, bro. That was Dr. Andrew Harley, geologist, geochemist, an expert on soil depletion. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for listening, folks. We'll continue talking about zinc tomorrow. You've been listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. Have yourselves a spectacular, wonderful day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.